I went to jail. Everybody else is, freaked out and mad. And then she's just here, happy to see mom.
Dog lovers, welcome back to Rescued by a Dog, the podcast about dogs that have actually saved their owners' lives. I am Laura, and this season of the podcast is entirely listener supported. There are 2 easy ways to support this podcast for as little as $5. First, you could just Venmo me $5 or whatever amount you want to send at the handle Laura Bama. That's Laura, B as in boy, A, M as in mother, A. Or you can go to patreon.com/Rescued by a Dog podcast. Again, that's Patreon, spelled Patreon. So patreon.com/Rescued by a Dog podcast. When you join the Rescued by a Dog community on Patreon, your $5 a month will help me to continue sharing these moving stories. Today, you're going to hear from Kara. In the midst of an abusive relationship, Kara's addiction landed her in jail with her beloved pup, Athena, stuck at home. A trigger warning, Kara is going to mention domestic violence. Hi, Kara.
Hey!
Thank you for being willing to talk to me about your dog. I'm so excited to hear about her. And so why don't we start off by you telling me the name of your dog and what do they look like?
So I had 2 dogs at this time. One was Athena, a pit boxer hound mix, and the other one is Izzy, a Shorkie, so a Shih Tzu and a Yorkie.
Today we're going to talk about Athena, or are we going to talk about both of them?
Kind of both of them, but mostly Athena. She's the reactive one.
And tell me again what she looks like. She's a pit mix, I know, but can you describe her to me?
She's tan and white. She has little white socks. She's kind of lean because she's a hound mix. She's like 100% muscle. She's gorgeous in my eyes. She's like the prettiest thing ever, but she's just a good old mutt.
Let me see her.
Say hi. Say hi.
Oh, what a pretty girl.
She's prancing around.
So pretty. She's skinnier than I thought based on the description.
Yeah, she is definitely part hound for sure. What you doing?
Oh, just kissing you. She's so cute. I love her face.
Yeah.
She's got like those eyes that like look straight into you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Tell me how you found Athena.
So Athena was with a friend of a friend that was in a domestic violence situation. A lot of yelling and physical stuff going on. She's a pit mix, so she's a chewer. And that was something that she got physically reprimanded for a lot of crate time. The friend ended up leaving the guy, and Athena was unfortunately left alone with him. And she finally got a hold of me, and we went and picked her up that night, and she's been with me since. I had actually planned on going to the shelter the next day whenever my friend texted me this picture of her. She was like a teenager at the time, and she was just the cutest thing ever. So I got to skip the shelter trip and just wound up with her. As soon as she got in the car, she was the most loving thing ever, just as happy as could be. I took her home, and she was a hot mess that night. And I actually had plans that night to go out and to go drinking, and she was sick and just a nervous mess. So I ended up staying home that night. And I just felt like we needed each other. When she had diarrhea and was just all over the place, and I was knee deep in it, bathing her. Fun fact, she prefers showers instead of baths. So I think just paying attention to those details, she felt safe and at home. Like, okay, this is what my other mom does. She gives me a shower, and this is what you're doing. I had asked if she was good with small dogs, if she had been with other dogs. I was told yes. She was a little territorial, definitely resource guarding me, wanting the attention. And there were some minor issues like her barking on the leash at other dogs, nothing crazy. What really got it going was when the domestic violence started. I did not feel safe leaving her alone. I still feel so much guilt for this. I had left her alone with him, the partner, and she did something, she tore something of his, and he really, really hurt her, and he told me he hurt her. And I came home and she was shaking and just a complete mess. I've never seen her like that. Then I just wouldn't leave her alone. We would just go to work together. She went everywhere with me. And I was working at a doggy daycare. So I ended up taking her with me to the doggy daycare. And that's not the best environment for some dogs. It's a lot of noise. And she developed severe dog aggression at that time. Her first day there, me leaving her alone, she attacked another dog. She did not do any serious damage, thank goodness. But because I have another dog, it scared me enough to take it very serious. A lot of precautions early on. We've seen a couple trainers. We do a lot of that work, and it's a lot better now.
What was going on in your life when you met her?
A lot of drinking, some drug use, overall depression. So I would actually be drunk at work every day. I was not able to hold down a job. I was barely able to do anything. I mean, I'd get off work, I'd drink. If I had a day off, I'd do drugs. It was just all over the place.
How were you able to like keep your life going if you weren't able to maintain a job? Like, how were you able to pay rent and all that?
I was definitely doing some illegal stuff, and eventually it got to a point. I definitely hit rock bottom at a certain point where I was not able to function. I ended up in a domestic violence situation. I just would get knocked out and wouldn't really remember much until the next day when I woke up with some bruises. So the night that I went to jail is also my sobriety day. There was a domestic dispute between me and my partner. I was drunk, he was drunk, there was some drugs involved, and the neighbors called the cops on us. They got there and I got arrested. I was arrested and not my partner because when the police came, he was nowhere to be found. And I was in a public place drunk. And like a lot of people in these situations, I did not want to talk to the cops. I did not want to give them any information. I was really rude and drunk. And they had originally told me they were taking me in for disorderly conduct, but it ended up being an assault.
You assaulted the cops?
Yeah. When I left, I was drunk out of my mind and I didn't think about it, but Athena, my reactive dog, and my little tiny Shorkie was left alone. And I don't leave them alone for extended periods, just because the size difference and her reactivity. And that's really the turning point of me getting sober, because I knew that I had failed them that night. I had put them in danger. I mean, all night, all I could think about was them being alone and Athena hurting Izzy. I mean, even unintentionally, she did not, which was amazing. But just the fear that I had put them in a dangerous situation was enough. I was not ever going to do that again. I felt so much fear. I felt like a failure. I just felt so awful and guilty. I felt incompetent, and I just knew it could not continue.
Did you say that you never drank again after that moment?
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
Over 2 years ago. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you describe to me the moment that you saw Athena and Izzy again after returning from jail?
I was so relieved that they were safe. Athena's little wiggly heart boxer butt was going all over the place. Izzy is also very affectionate, and being a Shih Tzu mix, just barking and yapping, "Mom, Mom." I went to jail. Everybody else is, freaked out and mad. And then she's just here, happy to see Mom.
Were you living with your partner who was abusive?
Yeah.
Did it feel like it would be hard to leave that situation?
Yes, at the time it felt impossible. It took sobriety and a little time of sobriety finally leaving the relationship. And that's one of the great things about sobriety. You get sober, you get a job, you don't have to rely on anyone, you don't have to put yourself in bad situations, you don't have to stay in bad situations, because I know I can take care of myself now.
What do you think your life would be like now if you hadn't made that decision on that day?
I think I would be in and out of jail with a partner who is not healthy. I do not think that Athena or Izzy would have been able to stay with me. And that was my biggest fear, honestly, because they are such loyal, loving creatures. And I just did not want to lose them. And with Athena's reactivity, another fear of mine was somehow she would end up in a shelter. So I started working like 12-hour shifts so we could get some stability so we would be able to go on our own. And at that point, the domestic violence did not continue in the relationship, which made me question leaving it. Maybe it was just a bad spurt, that kind of thing. But it wouldn't be like physical, it would just be a very unhealthy, not happy environment. And the dogs, because they had negative experiences with him, they were still very scared if he got upset, if he raised his voice, even if he wasn't doing anything. They were just overall scared. I could see it in them. I didn't want them to be at home in their environment shaking. Whenever I did start working the like 12-hour shifts consistently to build some stability up, there was a day where my boss was like, "You need to go home. You're not feeling well. Go home." And I actually ended up, I didn't want to go back to the apartment with him, the partner. So I took her out on a hike, and it was just, actually, that was the beginning of what we do now. We're just always outdoors now. And it was just so nice and so peaceful. And it was so different from how I had been living just those couple of hours, just in a quiet environment. Um, I took 1,000 pictures of her, and she was just so happy to be out and about. And her body language was just like normal dog life. "This is what we need to do, Mom."
It almost sounds like you were able to love them more than you were able to love yourself at that time.
Yes. To this day, they are the biggest motivation that I have in my life. And when days I don't feel like doing it, days I don't feel like getting up, just because there's aftermath of, depression, anxiety, when I'm not relying on drug use and alcohol, there are days I don't feel like getting up and doing it. And I'm like, Athena needs a walk. Izzy needs to play. So really just reminding myself, they are like children to me. I have taken on this responsibility, just like motherhood does to mothers with babies. But I am able to find forgiveness and understanding and sobriety, even for something as awful as hurting an innocent dog. Angry, hurt people just don't know how to function. And he was also going through some stuff, and he eventually did get help. I actually introduced her to somebody I was seeing for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it went really well. She's just got a little wiggly butt. She like squirms right up beside of you, and she's like, "You're gonna pet me. I'm so happy." Just licking all over me. The happiest little thing. I feel so loved. I feel so loved and just appreciated and just at peace. Dogs are just natural medicine. So after I got sober, another big part of my sobriety was volunteer work. And I've been volunteering at the shelter. I worked at the shelter for a minute. And I love making play groups and helping dog selective dogs, dog reactive dogs. There's actually been a couple dogs that were adopted in pairs because they were so bonded in the play groups. It's been an amazing thing for the shelter because we're in a rural area and it's something that they don't think about often. So, because of her reactivity, it inspired me to help other dogs with reactivity. And I think it's led to some adoptions and that kind of thing. So, that's another thing that she's done by default. We are able to foster now. I do a lot of shelter work and I'm very selective about who we bring home. But once I find the perfect match, she absolutely loves them. And she like kind of if you ever watch a nature documentary and you watch the animals like looking at their prey, she does that all the time. I'll catch her on the opposite side of the yard, like staring at them, and she does a little play pounce, and it's just the funniest thing. She kind of looks up at me when we're walking, and it makes me so happy because it used to be the dog over there, the squirrel over there, the person over there. I just want to eat anybody and everything. But now she looks at me for guidance.
If Athena could understand human English, what would you like to say to her?
I would say thank you and just tell her how much I love her. I could never describe how helpful she has been in my life, and she just deserves the best. I'll probably apologize for all the shitty things that people have done to her and for my part in putting in her in situations she did not need to be in. But yeah, mostly just thanking her for being her.
What do you think she would want to say back to you?
Probably I love you. Just her whole attitude and body language is I love you, Mom. And if she could understand, she'd probably say, it's okay. Like, I forgive you. I don't even remember. I'm happy now. It's all good.